I've only been in Grand Rapids for like, I guess you could say a day and a half, and I get it. I do get it. Like, I understand. Y'all can stop now. I understand. You don't have to be nice to me anymore. Y'all come in aggressive. Y'all are like truly like an opposite New York. Y'all come in real hot with how nice you are. Like it's in a way that's like, look, it's functional. Y'all clearly have a society here. It is good. But is it not exhausting to just be trying to help? My shoe was untied. Okay, my shoe, I was walking and my shoe was untied. I was getting to the light as I was walking, and a guy was like, "Oh, your shoe is untied." But he pointed so low that I couldn't tell if he thought I didn't know where my shoe was or if he was about to tie it for me. Because my man, he's like, "Your shoe is untied." I was like, "Oh." Because I feel like I'm nice. I feel like I'm a generally nice person, so I don't really get why y'all trying to outdo me at every time. I'm like one of the nicest people in New York, and then I come here and I'm like, yeah, y'all win. This is genuinely a lot. I appreciate it though. It's nice to get a break. It's nice to get a break from like eye contact leading to a fight. One time I was on the bus. A lot of my stories that are in New York start on the train or bus because my life is not going as well as I'd like. Very few things I tell you about will be in a car. I was on the bus and I was just sitting there, and I think I was on my phone or something. And I just casually looked up. I don't even know why I looked up. There was no noise, there was no anything, but I just casually looked up, and there was one dude across from me already looking at me. So I look up and our eyes meet, and he goes, "What'd you say?" I'm like, there's no way. There's no way you thought I said anything. It's just a lot, you know. Like, I've been there for years now. I've been here for, day and a half. And it just, okay. Like, y'all won't even let somebody be lost. That's too helpful. Gotta let people make their own mistakes. Because admittedly, I was lost. But I wasn't lost in like a cartoonish way. I wasn't lost like a 20 silent film. You know what I mean? I wasn't like... I just looked down at my phone and looked up and looked down at my phone. And when I looked up again, there was just a guy there. And he wasn't just there. He was like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, does this dude work at Grand Rapids? It felt like y'all just hire a bunch of Walmart greeters to be outside. Because it's just unsettling, you know? And so I'm clearly lost, you know? If I'm lost from this far away, then I just admit it. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get over here. And he's like, oh, it's right around the corner. I'll show you. And And then he walked with me. To which I was like, does he need to go there too? What's the plan here? Then we get there, it's across the street, and he points to it. And when he pointed to it, I looked over, and I was like, oh yeah, well thanks man, thanks so much. And I turned around and he was gone. And that's honestly the most upsetting part of the story. Because now I'm like, did I imagine him? Because I don't know, I've lived in New York for years now. And I love living in New York, but I think, this is going to sound like an ironic thing to say, but I think I love living in New York because I'm not infatuated with the idea of New York, right? New York has a long, beautiful history. There's a place where there's a lot of opportunity and everything, but it's also going to be a little dirty. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of people. You're going to get pushed around a lot as people go about their way. It's just a place on earth, you know? I'm not so excited to be there. Because some people are. You've seen some people move to a place like New York and they're like, oh my God, it's happening. I'm in New York City. And you're like, chill that, all right? You gonna get robbed. They're like, but we're in Times Square. It's all happening. It's like, they gonna get both of us. Because you over here acting brand new, all right? I almost got robbed. My first month living in New York, I almost got robbed. I was walking home after work, and I had not had a good day, you know? And this guy walked up and just punched me in the nose. It turns out that's all it takes. I'm not much of a fighter. If you punch me in the nose, I will sit down. It's almost immediate. It's a reflex, really, because this man punched me in the nose and I sat down on a fence immediately. And I don't know if I said it out loud or I just thought in my head, but when he punched me, I was like, I need a minute. And it didn't help that when he punched me in the nose, I grabbed my nose like the daintiest way possible. Like all fingers were out. This is the most Victorian way to try to stop a nosebleed. This is devastating. I didn't even know this is what I do in that situation. I was just sort of put there, and then this is how I reacted. Yeah, I mean, so I'm over here clenching my nose as hard as I can. Like, I wonder what it was like from his perspective. Like, if he punched me in the nose and then immediately saw me grab it like this, it was like, did he already have a nosebleed coming? Like, how did he... But this dude punched me in the nose. I sat down, and out of nowhere, this dude, huge dude, ran up and pushed this dude out of the way. And he pushed him so hard, he pushed him down, right? And so he slammed to the ground. He looked up. He saw that big dude. He must have thought we were friends. And so he took off. But I'm sitting there wondering if I look like such an easy target that somebody saw me getting robbed and was like, I could do better. Yeah. And it's funny because I was not having a good day at all. I was new to New York. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't have a good day at work. I didn't like the place that I was staying. And I feel like a pretty positive person, but everything was happening all at once to make me feel like just in a rut. Like, I try to wake up, be optimistic and everything, but the day it beat me down. I was just like, I remember I was thinking before this guy walked up to me when I was just walking home, I was thinking, this is the worst. This is like the worst, you know? And I was never thinking of like going back to Chicago or anything, but I was like, this is just the worst. And then I got punched in the nose and I sat down and I was like, this is worse. You really shouldn't tempt fate with superlatives. This is way worse. Because at the time, I didn't have that many of my uniforms, so if I bled on my uniform, I would just look freshly punched at work tomorrow. And I remember this big dude standing over me, right? And he's like, hey, are you okay? Are you all right? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be fine. Oh, thank goodness you were here. And he was like, yeah, man, I just can't believe that. Like, I was just at the right place, the right time. I mean, honestly, I'm a little shooken up. That's never happened to me before. I've been able to, like, help somebody like that. And I was like, yes, thank goodness you were here. He would have been very upset. I only have $6. My man is towering over me. And he's just like, yeah, I've just never been in a situation where I could just help somebody out of nowhere. Because honestly, I haven't always made the best decisions in life. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, he about to rob me. I gave up the game too quickly, and he has now realized he could be $6 richer. And he's just standing over me. He's like, you know, it just feels like the universe put me here in this moment to help you, brought us together. You know, sometimes that happens. In fact, have you heard the good word of the god Oxnif? The god Oxnif of the planet Mars? And I was sitting there like, this is worse. Oh, this is way worse. And I just sat there for 10 minutes and listened to this man's cult speech. It's like, if you could please just rob me. Because there's a lot going on in New York. There's a lot of crime. There's crime to the point that the governor saw fit to dispatch 1,000 National Guard to the subway to combat the crime, combat the violence and stuff. And as someone who lives in New York, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have not seen one of them this entire time. I feel like they went down to the subway, they looked around, they were like, forget this. I haven't seen a scratch of camo since I've been down there. Because I've been looking for them, too. Sometimes something will happen, I'm like, oh. Because, New York, we have a lot of crime, but we also got weird crime. We got some of the weirdest crimes you can imagine. A dude in the Bronx got robbed with a cowbell. And I know you're thinking, how? But look, it's metal. It hurts. And especially as a cowbell literally ringing while you getting hit, you must think like, where are these cows? You get your bell rung in the back of the head by a cowbell, you're like, where is it? Am I getting stumped out by cows right now? There was one dude that got a bunch of assault charges because he was... he was throwing marbles in front of anybody that walked in front of him. And it's like, that is a genuinely hilarious crime. It's one of the funniest assaults you'll ever hear about. Because at first, when I first heard about it, I was like, these YouTubers are getting out of control, all right? Somebody needs to rein them in. It wasn't even that. This kid did not have a camera. He was just being the change he wanted to see in the world. He's out here throwing the bar, people,
Give it up for Josh Johnson!
I don't know if y'all saw this demure thing that's taken off.
Why are y'all groaning? Oh my God. In case you don't know what it is, in case you haven't been alive for the past couple weeks, demure is this one TikTok. This one TikTok started this whole thing. It's not like a whole group of people. It's not like somebody super famous already said something. There's this one TikTok by this creator named Jules LeBron that was just sort of getting ready for work and said, you know, look at how I'm dressed. Very demure, very mindful. And demure and mindful have like really taken off. They've really become this big, big thing. People are talking about how I'm demure, I'm mindful and everything. People have made all these response, TikToks do it and stuff. But basically, she was just saying like, you know, look at how I'm dressed, keeping it chill, a little bit low key and everything. And by and large, everything that I've seen that's come from it has been pretty positive. I know I'm not on the whole internet, but like everything that I've seen is nice, which is kind of cool because usually when it comes to like TikTok as a movement or like challenges or like anything popular, it's usually not as positive. You know, most TikTok challenges or trends are mostly like, hey, y'all, watch me punch my grandma in the back of the head. It's usually something that causes harm to, you know, you or someone else for everyone's entertainment. And we watch all the time. It's like, hey, y'all, watch me while I call in this bomb threat to the Vatican. You know, like there was one thing, I don't even know, it got so bad that they would talk about TikTok trends happening that I don't even think were happening, but they were believable because all the stuff that really was happening. Like, I'm pretty sure there was one where maybe I'm falling for, like, a trick, but I'm pretty sure there was one TikTok trend where people just kept blowing up the urinals at the boys' bathrooms in their high schools. And I was like, man, maybe they really are lost as a generation. You know what I mean? So then you see something like demure, and it really kills the whole... You know, the sort of generational gaps that we have, it's hard to keep pushing them away when they're being all nice and stuff. You know, you see these young Gen Alpha, Gen Z just being sweet. You almost don't know how to react. You know what I mean? It starts raining. Maybe you're a boomer, and then out of nowhere, you know, this young person comes up being very demure. Pops an umbrella right over your rainy head. You just standing there like, Fox News did not prepare me for this. I don't know what to do. Thank you, I guess. This is weird. You sure you don't want to punch me in the back of the head and film it or something? Like, no, it's just nice to see like a trend that's at least like feeling mildly positive as it spreads, you know? Because a lot of them start positive and then quickly turn. And I haven't seen this one turn yet. Because the whole definition of demure is like modest, shy. You know, mindfulness, obviously self-explanatory, being mindful and stuff. Because the other TikToks I've seen Jules make have also fascinated me. Because, you know, she'll do little stuff. Like she brought donuts to the hotel staff that took care of her at the end of her stay. And she was like, this is being demure. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we redefining it. I had no idea. I thought, that's cool. I'm saying because I'm happy about it, you know? And I think that's really awesome. Because for a long time, I didn't know if like a good trend could catch on. You know, we like deep down, whether you like it because you like it or you like it because you love to hate it, we like watching the bad stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like like Jackass would have never been a franchise if we didn't love the idea of a guy just standing there and then his friend running behind him and kicking him in the balls. Like that's, you know, we had Jackass when we were little, and that just spawned into like a different now everybody can do Jackass. Everybody was doing Jackass the whole time, by the way. It's just when we filmed it, it sort of just sat at home. Like they just became home movies. There wasn't an internet to push it out to the rest of the world with, you know? And so, I don't know. I mean, I hope for those that enjoy it, it continues. I hope it doesn't, you know, morph into a different thing, because I feel like the internet's very good at that. You know, the internet's very good at like taking something, because it's so decentralized, like taking something that starts out very good and then morphing it to a place where, you know, maybe 5 years from now, there's just a kid that runs up and punches his grandma in the back of the head and goes, "Demure!" Nah, but I hope it doesn't happen. I took an improv class when I lived in Chicago with a kid who was Buddhist, right? And he was Buddhist in a way that was very sincere. He wasn't like that. You know how sometimes when you go off to college or something and you meet someone who's like hardcore Buddhist, but they're like a white dude with dreads that's always trying to bang, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, no, I don't know if you following really. I think that you just wear the beads. I think you're disingenuous. You're just trying to use it to lower some walls, you know what I mean? How could I be bad? I summered into bed. You know what I mean? Kind of has those vibes. But my friend who I met is the person that truly fascinated me, because he was someone who had a lot of joy and a sincere joy. Not like, you know how there are people that you meet sometimes that are full of joy, but you can tell the joy is because everything's going right now. It's very circumstantial joy, right? It's like lottery winning joy, where it's like, guys, of course. He had a nice joy that wasn't swayed one way or the other by like little things happening, you know? Because the circumstantial joy I'm talking about, it gets knocked over with a feather, right? That same person that's so joyful one day, you see them the next day, they're like, "Get the hell out of my way!" Like it's... And that's also normal. That's part of being human, right? Like it's not normal to be happy all the time. If someone is, watch them. Do you know what I mean? Like if somebody's happy all the time, they need to be on a list. They're hiding something, right? But he had a very, very sweet and sincere joy that was calm, kind of quiet, a little bit to himself, but happy to talk to anybody, happy to engage with anybody and everything. And I think that because of who he was as a person, it sort of fascinated me what his philosophy was for life, because he didn't teach Buddhism, and he didn't think of Buddhism as a religion. He thought of it more as a sort of philosophy, right? It was his answer to the psychology of his mind. And we were talking one day, because I was just sort of asking him how he came to it and everything, because he was white. And regular haircut though, like regular haircut. Like, but you know, we were just chatting, and he was explaining, at least to the best of his understanding, the 4 noble truths to me, right? Because the first noble truth is that there is suffering in the world. And that's an undeniable thing, you know? We all suffer in different ways for different amounts of time, you know? Some suffering is physical. Like when you wake up in the night and you're thirsty. And you swear you know you're home. But you're walking in the dark because you don't want to wake yourself up too much with the light. And you don't sleep with shoes on. So your feet, your toes are at their most vulnerable. You get up and you're walking around, and in the kitchen, you get a little bit of that fridge light. You almost squint a little bit. That's too much. You grab your water, you pour it in your glass, take some sips, and now you got to make your way back. Halfway tired, in the dark, right? And as you're walking, maybe you're a parent. And maybe even though you know this home like the back of your hand, you don't know that there's a Lego waiting. There's a Lego waiting to be stepped on, right? There's a skateboard near some steps waiting to take you out. To put you on your ass, right? Or maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you're a bachelor. Maybe you're just living on your own as a single person, but you make your way back. And for some reason, tonight, there's just a little bit of extra width to that bed frame. And so you get close to the bed and you get ready to hop in, and then and so you suffer. No. But a lot of suffering isn't physical. A lot of suffering, genuinely is coming from a mental place. You either suffer in what you think is going to be the future, or you suffer over the past as it happened. Those things that happen that are very, very embarrassing. Maybe you hold on to a mistake that you made too tight. In your mind's eye, it's the only thing that you can focus on. And most of the time, you can shut it out. It's probably whatever you're thinking about right now. But most of the day, you're pretty good at shutting it out. But then you have a quiet moment, like in the shower. And while you're in the shower, your brain just goes, remember that time? You remember that time that everybody was like, wouldn't it be fun if we jumped in the pool, and then you just jumped in the pool, but then the other person was like, I was never going to jump in the pool. So then you were just out here in the pool by yourself, and you can't swim. So then you were hoping that everybody jumping in would just mean that everyone floated a little bit higher or something. And so now you're like fighting to get to the top of the water, and then people, you can hear them be like, is he drowning? It was like a question, because you flailing so hard that everyone's like, is he drowning? And then you're like, what? These are supposed to be my friends. Why aren't they jumping in the water and help me? Do we not want to jump in the water so bad? We just want to talk about jumping in the water, that no one's going to come save me right now. And so you're flailing, and then finally you just hear somebody at the party, one of your friends, say, yo, stand up. And then you realize you were on the shallow end of the pool. So there's a suffering. And then, there's a suffering for the things that you think are going to happen in the future, right? Things that haven't even happened yet. Usually, it's us, because of our imagination. We're one of the only, look, this is us saying it, but as far as scientists know, we are one of the only species that has real imagination in that way. So we're some of the only things on planet Earth suffering in that particular way, right? Most things are living in the moment, right? But we're the only ones putting things onto the future that haven't even happened yet. Like, let's say you're in a relationship. And you love this person, but y'all fight from time to time. And you fight, but you love each other, and maybe it's been a long time. You've been together for a long time, so you know them. You know them deeply. You know them in a fundamental way where no one else knows them, right? So then sometimes when something happens, you can tell we're probably going to have a fight. We're probably going to have a fight because I know them, and I know what happened, and I know how they react to things. I know how I react to things, so we're probably going to have an argument, right? So then maybe you're driving home, maybe you're taking the train, maybe you're on the bus, but wherever you are, because you know there's about to be a fight, you decide to have the first fight. The first fight is in your head because you're practicing, right? The first fight is you just sort of shadow boxing, right? You do it too. That's not my fault, right? You just... And so the first fight, maybe things don't go so well. Maybe the first fight, because you have to imagine the whole thing, you imagine them reacting a little harsher than they might even react. Because you don't know, because you haven't been there yet. It's in the future. It hasn't happened. You have to make this thing up. But now you're suffering because you're imagining that they said something to you that was a bit too far. And they always do this. And I can't stand when you do this, right? You always, in my head, take things too far before I have the conversation with you, right? And so you get home and you already mad. You already pissed off because in your mind, you lost the first fight, right? So now when we have the first fight, I'm remembering the first fight. So now I got to get my get back from losing that first fight because they had such good logic in my head when I was fighting them before that I came ready. I'm already ready to plug up all the holes in my own argument, right? And so then, you start fighting and then you start the fight by being like, why are you always? And then you realize you're yelling and you're like, why am I yelling right now? And it's because you had a fight already. You had suffering you didn't even need to have. There was no reason, right? And then there's the second noble truth. The second noble truth is that there is a cause to the suffering. People, we don't just have to suffer endlessly for no reason, right? There is a cause. This is where the concept of karma comes from and everything. Because if you understand the suffering and you understand the cause, you can end it, right? It can be over, Like I have a friend who I love very much, and he has a lot of love to give, but he keeps, because he can't understand the cause, he keeps getting his heart broken because he keeps. Okay. He keeps getting his heart broken because he keeps trying. It's gonna sound however it sounds, but he keeps trying to save young ladies who do not like him, but do enjoy dinner, right? Do you know what I mean? Like at a certain amount of dates, I'm like, yeah, dog, I think if she liked you, she would call you sometimes. Because he's a lover, but it's I don't know if he's thinking about why he keeps feeling this way. And if it keeps happening, if the same thing keeps happening with different people who don't know each other, maybe there's a cause. And maybe the cause is something you're doing. Maybe the suffering can end. Maybe. Or maybe he's just real good at paying for dinner. I have no idea, but it seems like when I talk to him, hey, it doesn't have to be like this, right? And then there's a third noble truth. Third noble truth is that you can end the suffering. It can't, it doesn't have to go forever, right? The second one is that there's a cause, and the third one is that there will be an end, right? It doesn't have to go on forever. You can release yourself out of this sort of cycle. And then the fourth one is that there's a path. There's a path for you, a way to end the suffering, right? Which I think is great. I think that there's an answer at the end. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of religions out there that just tell you, it's pretty bad. And it will get worse. There are some Buddhist monks, right? There's some Buddhist monks in Thailand. And they're in a specific region, so I don't want you to think this is all of the Buddhist monks. But these particular Buddhist monks in this particular region of Thailand keep getting into trouble for not being very good monks. Because when you think of a monk, it's unfair, but you think of a monk the same way you think of a nun. You think of someone who has dedicated their entire life, their finances, their physical self, their spiritual well-being to the cause of whatever religion or philosophy that they've taken up, right? And that doesn't make them perfect, but it does make them seem like someone who is going to be holy or be grounded, whatever the thing is, right? And these monks are pretty rock and roll. These monks are going ham, okay? These monks are having such wild scandals. There was one temple, right, where all the monks in that temple got busted by the police for doing meth, right? And it's hard to conceptualize a methy monk, right? Because you usually think of them as calm and still, but you can't be on meth. I've never seen someone do meth and then calm down, right? That's not part of it, I can only imagine what that one monk who did the meth first must have told the others. You know, does a little meth and it's like, y'all, if we do this, we ain't got to do all that sitting. Like this is about to hit, okay? You know? It was another scandal where there were some monks who basically, I say got in trouble, I think they got arrested for stealing millions of dollars in donations from people who were basically donating to, I guess, the monastery, but just generally, the same way you donate to like any church or anything like that. And that one baffled me because I thought one of the whole principles of Buddhism was like, guys, I don't need anything. Like, it's me trying to better myself, trying to get better, trying to get to the next level and everything. So to give the monks millions of dollars is asking for trouble. Like, yeah, I mean, to give the monks a rapper level of money and then not expect them to live that rapper lifestyle feels like an unnecessary temptation, okay? You know, like I'm pretty low key, but if you gave me around $8 million, I might go a little wild for a day or two. You know what I mean? And it's tough. It's tough when you're a monk and then you try balling out because you in the same clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like when you roll up to a strip club, everybody know you're not supposed to be there. Like you throwing it up and making it rain, and then everybody's like, where's it even coming from? Does the robe have pockets? You know? There have even been some monks that got in trouble for straight up violence, right? Which is terrible and terrifying. But I will say, as a monk, if somebody messing with you, you do kind of have the element of surprise. Because they're sure nothing's going to happen, right? Like you just poking a monk and poking a monk and poking a monk, and then they just hit you with that bladao. You know? And I guess it's just wild that for such I'll call it a religion or a lifestyle just for the sake of the argument, but like for such a calm, peaceful, to yourself religion of bringing yourself to the best level that you can, building an understanding of yourself and the people around you, and trying to spread good in the world. It's wild to me that this section of Buddhist monks in Thailand, all they really need is Jules LeBron to teach them how to be demure, to teach them how to be mindful. You know what I mean? You imagine that? You imagine this. There's a monk that's just throwing out money at the strip club and everything, and then Jules is like, not demure, not mindful. I grew up in Louisiana, and thanks. Yeah. And once in a while, my friends and I would go to New Orleans. It was always a big deal because it was like going to, another world and everything, because we weren't from a good part, right? And when we went one time, I was with 3 of my friends, and one of my friends was like, oh, we should all go to a psychic while we're here in the French Quarter, right? Because they have a bunch of psychics lined up, right? And so I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't even really believe in psychics. And even if I did, I don't know if I want to know, right? Like, I'm all right. And he was like, no, come on, it'll be fun. Let's do it, right? So sure enough, he convinces all 3 of us to go ahead and do it. And there's lots of different psychics lined up. There's some people that are like reading palms. There's some people that have tarot cards. There's some people that are just staring at you like, oh, And so, I sat at a tarot table, right? And I don't know anything about tarot cards at all. Like, I don't know what the process is or anything, but I went ahead and I paid the lady, because you got to pay up front, right? They can't just be like, here's the future now. And so I went ahead and paid and everything, and then she started like dealing, right? And so, I didn't know, so when she had dealt a couple, I just scooped up a couple. Because I don't know how to play, right? And then she was like, don't do that. And so then she redealt, and I kept my hands to myself this time. And then she got to, there was one card she got to where she just went, ooh. She went, ooh, and then scooped up all the cards, grabbed her tablecloth, and walked away. I was like, I paid you for $5 worth of future. You gotta say something. You can't just walk off. What? Because now I feel crazy because I just paid $5 to believe in that now. I don't know what she saw. My friends are next to me, they all getting their palms. Oh, yeah. Then they get done. And they're like, what about you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anything because she walked away. She can't just... And they were like, oh, maybe she was a scammer. I was like, maybe? She didn't even try. It's the future. You don't know. I can't prove. Do you know what I mean? Make something up. Even if you saw something terrible, lie to me. I won't know. And so then they were like, oh, well, stuff happens. It's just $5. I was like, nah. So I sat down with another psychic. I was like, hey, can you help me? And she's like, what are you looking for? What do you know? I'm like, no, none of that. I need you to find... I need you to track down one of you so then you can tell me what she saw. You know, like in the 80s movies when somebody would get in a cab and they'd be like, follow that car. I was doing that. But with the psychics, I was like, you need to track her because she walked off with a tablecloth and everything. I don't think she's coming back. Like, I need you to see what she saw to just... And she was like, oh, it doesn't work like that. I was like, how does it work? We are dealing with an emergency here. Because she didn't just go, ugh. She was like, ugh. Like, it doesn't look ambiguous what's about to happen next. You need to know what it is. There's an interesting thing that's happened over the past, 2 years, I'd say, where everyone has built out categories for people who are famous, right? So there are some people that are like that old Hollywood type of famous that's kind of disappearing. You may never get another one of these again, like Brad Pitt level famous, right? Like, we don't know if that'll ever happen again because the internet has split us so much that, there's very few hardcore blockbuster movies that just everyone went to see. And when they are happening, it's still factions of people. And it's not the same actors in the same movies every time. So, the closest we've probably got is, Timothée Chalamet. You know what I mean? He was in Wonka and then Dune 2 and, and then something else at the same time. It felt like everybody in Hollywood. I remember that time because for those period of months when I was going to the movies, it felt like everybody else in Hollywood got sick. And it felt like they just kept calling, no, we need you to do, or the movie won't come out. It's like, okay, that he's Wonka, that I know where he's a Fremen, and he's like, it's like... It was just a lot, right? And then you have people who are that old Hollywood famous. Then you have people who are more like internet famous in a way that may stick or may not stick. So you have people that have like millions and millions of followers on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever. So they're technically as famous, if not more famous, than the old Hollywood people, right? Because these people were picked by the people, you know what I mean? Whereas the other people's sort of their success feels like studio, feels like, you know, a machine driving it or something. And then you also have lengths, right? Like lengths of fame. So there are some people that are famous the way that like, they will be as famous as long as like a turtle lives. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll be famous for so long that they'll actually die and still be famous after they're dead because people keep watching their movies and they're in classics and stuff. So it's like those like Marlon Brando types and stuff like that, where even if you don't know who they are, even if you can't picture it, you know what they've created, you know a part of what they did while they were here, you know? And then there's people that are famous for a shorter amount of time. It's still substantial, but it's not the same amount. So people that are famous like lifespan of a dog. Like it's still quite a bit of time. You know, there are people who were like super famous in the 90s who are less famous now, but if you saw them in a grocery store, you'd be like, ah! Don't move. You were in something. I know your face. You were in something. And then there are people that are famous for like the lifespan, and this is sadly most of fame. There are people that are famous for the lifespan of like a goldfish. It's just here and gone, right? If you blink, you'll miss it. They were famous for like a week, you know? They really subscribe to that 15 minutes in a sense, you know? Because you don't even really remember why they were famous, and then someone has to like go on and on about the thing that they did. Like, I don't know her name, and I'm not picking on her or anything, but just as an example, it's like that one girl that was on TikTok that hit her hip on the bedpost. It was like, ah! And it's like... I don't know who she is. I don't know where she is. She could be here. But I wish her well. I'm not saying this as in like it's a dig on her. I'm just saying that that's what happens. Is that now that algorithms are ruling the world and ruling how we see the world, how we see perspective from other people, and how we like take in any form of media, right? I think that those are like the three levels, you know? So there are people who you think are going to be goldfish, and then they end up being dogs. And we haven't lived long enough to see if a goldfish is ever going to become a turtle. But it's like here today, gone tomorrow, and it'll sweep the entire country. It might sweep the world for like a week or months. You don't know when it's going to end, right? Like I can't tell if the Haktua girl is a goldfish or like a dog, right? Because this is my thing. Okay, if somehow you don't know the phenomenon that is the Haktua girl, basically, very quickly, it's something that took over the world for some reason. Where, you know, people do those street interviews on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and stuff, and basically they walked up to this one young lady who was out with her friend, and they were like, what's one thing that drives a man wild? And she was like, you gotta go hot to and spit on that thing, right? And in a few sentences, she captured the hearts, the hearts and minds of America in a way that sadly a president never could. And I think one of the reasons she blew up, because a lot of people accuse her of being a plant or this being like some weird thing as soon as it happened. But I think that one of the things that propelled her to where she is now and what pushed her in so many different algorithms, because she blew up on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. And then there were like derivative things of her after the fact. And then people were trying to figure out who she was, all this stuff, right? And I think that it's because most of what creates anything and what drives algorithms is discussion, right? If you can get people to argue, you're getting people to comment. If you're getting people to comment, this soulless, faceless algorithm just sees that a lot of people are talking about it, so then it pushes it to more people to talk about. Because all they want is your attention. They just want to keep you where you are right now in your phone, right? So then people saw it, and then there were people who immediately hated her. Like, just in a way that's like, not, and this isn't a soapbox thing, just I'm saying I witnessed it. They hated her in a way that we only seem to hate women online. They hated her so much. And I think a lot of people hated her because she was right. But I don't know. I mean, some people hated her immediately, and some people loved her immediately. Some people thought she was the most endearing, so sweet, so funny, so genuine, because that's another thing that people are attracted to in a world that feels like everyone has a very cold and calculated outreach plan or way to get you to buy something or way to keep your attention. It just felt like somebody walked up to her and she talked and she had fun. She was out all night with her friend and then she left, right? And I think that level of being genuine really captured people in that moment, right? And so now, and I don't know where she goes from here. Apparently, she's like getting a show, and apparently there's going to be like, I don't know, a bunch of stuff that happens. There's already people who have like paid her to appear and stuff like that. And then you saw people get mad about that. There were some people that were like, that's so unfair. She was just talking, and now all of a sudden she has stuff, and then that kept it going. And people don't seem to realize that, like, what keeps her going is us talking. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying a diss on her or anything. I'm just saying, even right now, what I'm doing is keeping her in the algorithm forever. I do wish her well, though, because I think that especially if you are at like, sadly, if you're at like a goldfish level of fame, you don't really know why you're here. Kind of like the goldfish in the bowl that's swimming in a circle. Not really sure where it's going or if it can go anywhere, or just, I'm just here, you know. I used to be at a fair and now I'm at this dude's house. Because when you aren't known for a thing, when there's not, we used to have these turtles because we used to prop up people who were famous as these demigods. And we still do it. We do it in different ways now, because now there isn't just like old celebrity. Now there's like digital creator, there's influencer, there's all these different people, but we still do it to people where we like deify them in real time, right? And I think that before it was always attached to a skill. So it was always like Marlon Brando is the most brilliant actor of all time. Orson Welles is this incredible director, right? All of these people are absolutely deified in their skill and what they do. So then even the people that want to reach their heights, whether it's fame or just skill, they want to get to that level, and it's something that may never be achievable, right? And then when you're like dog famous, people stop calling, right? Like, it's like I was available for parts, but I don't know. Like I didn't want to take the steroids, so then Marvel was like, no. You know, and I wish her well, because I think that it's a terrifying thing to just have everybody think they can get something from you or want something from you immediately, and you don't really know why, right? And you don't know how to keep what you got. Maybe you can turn it into something, you know? Like, who knows? Maybe I is an actress now. Like, I have no idea. maybe it is the start to something, or maybe it just petered out because, you know, that was a moment in time, right? Because it's just hard. Because then if you're out one day, if no one talks about that. No one talks about what becoming like unfamous is. You know, people that are famous actually then they turn to becoming infamous just to keep some level of normalcy of where they were, right? That's why sometimes in my opinion, you see people who used to be more famous, all of a sudden they lose their minds. Right? Like you'll just be on Twitter one day and see like Randy Quaid said something. And you're like, okay, all right, that's what he's up to now, all right. No. Because I think if you don't really know why you're there, and if people aren't actually around you, protecting you, nurturing you, and taking care of you, right? Because we don't, I mean, unless she's here, we don't know Haktua girl. Like, just, we don't know what she wants out of all this or something. It was just sort of thrust upon her. And she's like, I quit my job immediately and I just started taking meetings and stuff. And I'm like, good for you, but also like, be careful, you know what I mean? Because if you don't know why you're here, you don't know how to stay. And then you get treated like a goldfish after. After a couple weeks, and you get, you know, next thing you know, that's not a regular bowl. It's a And by the way, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that she gets to use whatever springboard she wants, or like landing pad that improves her life. Because also, she didn't necessarily sign up for this thing. Somebody just asked her, what makes a man go crazy in bed? And then she knew, so then she answered, right? Like that's... I went to years ago, when I was with my friends back home in Louisiana, I went to a buffet. And this is a buffet before COVID, right? So this is a buffet that we just didn't know was nasty yet, right? Like COVID, you know, just gives you a different perspective on things that are like communal, right? Because a buffet is just family style eating, but it's with the public. Because you've had meals with your family before, and then you got that one cousin that's nasty, right? So then you're like, can someone please pass the mashed potatoes? And then they get ready to pass the mashed potatoes. You're like, ooh, not you, right? And then they grab the bowl and go to pass you, but they got their thumb in the bowl so they can get some grip on it, right? And then you're like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's... Scoop it up, grab it from the bottom, hand it to me, because now it's thumb potatoes. So that's what it is. This is a buffet. It's just, you know, with everybody. And I even tried to give a buffet a shot post-COVID. And to be fair, maybe I wasn't being fair. Maybe I judged too quickly. But I basically walked in, and somebody who wasn't even at the food, just somebody at a table coughed, and I was like, forget this. This is... No, but this is years ago. I was in Louisiana with a few of my friends and went to this buffet. Now, this buffet did something special where basically they had the whole buffet and you could pay for that, or you could get a box. And if you got a box, it was a lot of the things that were at the buffet you could pick and choose, but it was food that came out of the kitchen, right? So it didn't feel like you were participating. And so I would always get a box, and there was one day they had a special, right? So you could get a box, and then for $1, you could get double meat, which I realize now as an adult is not a deal. Because meat should never be $1, right? Like... Because you told me the whole box was $13. And then they were like, for $1, we'll just double it up. That means that all the meat is 50 cents. These margins are too tight for you to just be giving away all this meat for $1, right? This is horse. It has to be. All the meats that I know of cost a little bit of money, right? And so I was young, and I was naive, and so I was like, ooh, hit me with that double meat. And so sure enough, they give me the box. It's packed, right? And there's just a ridiculous amount of meat, a bed of rice, some veggies on the side, and like a little treat in one of the little compartments, right? And so we all sit down to eat, and I am loving life because I'm eating like a king for like $13. Had a coupon. And everything's well and good. We even leave. And about 40 minutes later, I get a pain. But the pain is not in my chest or my stomach. The pain is like in the middle, like right here. Which is terrifying, because I was like, I shouldn't get this till I'm 58. Like, this is too specific of a spot. Like, it needs to be, like, you know, like head, shoulder. You know, I mean, like, all the pain should have a section, right? And, like, it either needs to be stomach ache or heart attack. I don't want whatever this is. This is an insane region to have this much pain. And so then I'm doing all types of weird movements trying to like make the pain decide where to go. Like I'm trying to either push it up or knock it down or something. Like I'm cramping up, but it's like it's right here. And I've never felt anything like that before. And so then I have like a little, I don't know, I do some motion and the pain just gets even tighter here, right? And then it starts to hit my stomach, and so I run. I didn't even know I was fast. I run. I run to the bathroom, right? And I run to the bathroom, and I'm glad nobody was in that one because I kicked the stall door open, right? Because we're in crunch time. This isn't a no. You know what I mean? Like, we're pushing at least, right? And so I run up and I kick the stall door open, which you should never do because those stall doors bounce back, right? So I kick and boom and boom and boom, and then I get up off the floor, right? And I get in the stall, and then I sit down, and it's still just like, it's all right here. And I'm like tearing up. It hurts so bad. I don't know, I can't even describe it because I've never felt anything like it since. And I'm just like, I'm still trying to do the movements, like push the pain to make sense, you know what I mean? And I've been praying, by the way. I've been praying for a long time because you ever in the bathroom and you start to pray, but you're not even praying about anything related to what you ate. You're praying about something you might have got away with when you were little. And you were like, Lord, I'm sorry I took it. I didn't think they'd notice. It's my bad. I won't do it again. That's gotta be what this is about, because this is too specific. This is like an inch below the nipples pain. Just hurting, right? And then I can't help it. I'm like audibly making noise. I'm like, I think this is what the psychic saw. I was reading the news and I saw this Mark Robinson. If y'all don't know who that is, he's a lieutenant governor of North Carolina, and He's running for governor of North Carolina as the GOP candidate, and a bunch of news came out where basically there are these profiles that they found of him from a long time ago being on porn sites saying the craziest stuff you can imagine, right? And this is my thing. First of all, this is a terrifying and dangerous man, and I know that because he leaves comments on the message boards of porn sites. What? A porn site is simple, okay? You get in and you get out. You don't stay to chat. What's wrong with you? You're not here to make friends. You are out of your mind. Why are you just on here being with? That's weird as hell. No one I've ever met has been like, oh, well, I can't wait to log on and talk. That's a real sick man right there. That's crazy. And just so you know, Mark Robinson has been endorsed by Trump. Trump was stumped with him and stuff like that, and he's been at Trump rallies and stuff. And then, Mark Robinson's a very big man. He's huge. He's a large guy. And Trump called Mark Robinson Martin Luther King on steroids, because I don't think he understands how steroids work. They don't just make you bigger in general. They don't balloon you. You gotta work out a little bit. You gotta do something. Mark Robinson is over here being I think, I don't know what opinions he truly holds. I don't, because, politicians lie and they pretend to be who they think you want them to be. But it seems like he's trying to appeal to the most radical version of a conservative, right? And he has his little taglines, and he gets in with phrases. I think that's why Trump likens him to Martin Luther King, because he tries to put on an MLK-esque voice when he speaks and everything, but he says stuff that he sure his base wants to hear. And he said really horrific stuff about gay people, about trans people and everything. And they uncovered all of these things that he had said on the message boards of these porn sites because his username sometimes was his name. Fellas, I understand that sometimes we're in the heat of the moment and you go to one of these illicit sites, and the site asks you questions. Maybe the site, in order to enter, they want an email or something, or as eager as you are, please do not give them your actual information. This goes out to everybody. I don't care what you believe in, who you're voting for. Please do not give a porn site your real name and email address you use for work. I know it's the first email address that comes to mind when you've got other things on the mind, but make up an email address real quick. I know that sometimes that takes a second, because then you got to make a fake Google account. You got to go back. You got to accept the email from the porn site and then just look. But make it so they don't know it's you every time. It shouldn't be that hard, but apparently it is, because then CNN and the journalists on CNN, I don't remember if they're actually CNN affiliates, but basically the journalists that looked into it found that on lots of, porn sites, he was using the same username, the same handles, which turned out to be the same usernames and the same handles he used on Twitter and fellas. Even if it means coming up with a fake name right now, just come up with something to say in your mind. The fact that he was using his email all the time, but it makes sense. I guess he would use his email because he was using his name and he was commenting and all that. So he probably wanted to get the feedback from what people were saying to what he was saying. Now that I think about it, maybe it was more intentional than dumb. Like, but he said insane things. This dude, first of all, on a porn site, no one is looking for feedback, really. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there's some. Maybe some crowd-funded, crowd-sourced. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sure. Look, I haven't been on OnlyFans, but I'm sure with an OnlyFans, there are people that are like, I made this thing. I hope people like it. Let me get some feedback. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. That makes sense, right? But if you're just out in the world watching whatever comes up, and then you're just commenting all the time, you need a friend. This dude said such insane things. Some of them I can't repeat, but a couple of them I will. This dude said, unprovoked, I'm a black Nazi. I don't know where you begin with I'm a black Nazi from a black dude who should have probably left the porn site by now. Like, he said other stuff. He was like, I would rather Hitler in office than the people that are in there now. I'm more confused than angry. I'm not gonna lie. You know, and then he said stuff about how, like, my man, slavery wasn't that bad. I wish they would bring back slavery. I'd buy a couple. Mind you, this is on a porn site. What wires do you have crossed in your head? Does being horny make you angry? What? In what world does that come up? You know, it's very specific. You know, in what world are you on a porn site and then you're like, you know what really needs to be fixed? The Senate. Bruh. What? You know, I do my best. I really do. I do my best to try to understand people, and I don't get this one. This is beyond me. Because even outside of what he said on the sites, it's also some of the things that make him unfit for office are just what he says out in the open. The way that he talks about people who are definitely his constituents, you know? There are gay people in North Carolina. There are trans people in North Carolina. So when he speaks, he's speaking about them and sometimes to them. And he says very sick, hateful things, you know? And just the way that he has this weird, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I try to love everybody, but it's very hard to love a black man that hates being a black man. It is jarring. You don't even know where to start. And the thing that I think maybe he thinks is that his proximity to whiteness and what the white people around him like will be his safety. And it's not going to be the case. Fundamentally, it won't. You know? Because when you say things like slavery wasn't that bad, I wish they would bring back slavery, I'd buy a couple. Who do you think? It's hard to get to the bottom of what this person is thinking, because it's so crazy, you know? It's like it's one of those things where you look at state of politics, and it's one thing to lie, and it's one thing to say what you think people want to hear, but it's another thing to be an absolute lunatic and already in office, because he's already lieutenant governor. So governor is not that far of a stretch. And he got to be lieutenant governor saying mostly what he says now, minus the porn stuff. And it's so bad that Donald Trump himself, the dude who would stump with them, this is Martin Luther King on steroids. He doesn't know what steroids are. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. Donald Trump's campaign is even telling him, hey, you may need to drop out. If Donald Trump's campaign Donald J. Trump's campaign is telling you to drop out, you should probably leave Earth. The idea that Donald Trump's campaign is like, this guy, ugh. The fact that Trump distanced himself from Mark Robinson, Trump done distanced himself from Nazis. The fact that he was like, oof, this is pretty weird, right? You know? Like Trump didn't denounce the Proud Boys openly. They asked him about the Proud, and he was like, you know, boys will be boys, I guess, or whatever. But you, no. And that's exactly what I mean. Your proximity to whiteness won't save you. You're actually saying and doing some of the same things that the people say and do that Trump didn't distance himself from. But he's getting as far away as he can from your black ass. He's getting so far away from you, you would think he was on steroids. I think a lot about how we think about each other and we treat each other, especially now with like an election on us, you know? Everybody's exhausted. Why do we even do it this way? You know, in like France, they're like 3 months out, they're like, who should we pick? Like we're the only ones that make it a season and a half of TV. Like no one else in the world does this. No one else in the world is like, all right, 2024, let's start talking about 2028. Why do we do it this way? And then you watch people, watch how they react to people, you know? Like I have a tougher time than I've ever had with the things that are being said, you know? Everybody expects politicians to lie. Everybody expects politicians to not care about them. I get that. But what's happening right now is like truly insane. You know, J.D. Vance was at a rally and it's weird. Okay, I've just never seen somebody with less charisma. Like, J.D. Vance makes Ron DeSantis look like Ron White. Like, it's... Because when Ron DeSantis was running, I was like, why he smiling like that? He was just, do you remember his smile? He's right. He's like, it's like it hurt him to talk to people, person to person. Then J.D. Vance got in there and nobody was happy. And J.D. Vance said, you know, they asked him about how he felt about the whole rumor about the dogs and cats things affecting the Haitian community, why they've been zeroing in on Haitians specifically in Springfield for some reason. You know, he's from Ohio and everything like that. And he basically said, like, and you can look this up for yourself if you think I'm being unfair, but he basically said that, you know, this is a Democrat talking point and a point by the media and everything, as if he didn't say it. And then he basically says, you know, everyone loves talking about those Haitians in the community like they came here legally and are doing everything legally, but they were brought in and they were legalized through a process by Kamala Harris that is unconstitutional. So as long as they're here, I'm going to call them illegal aliens. He's talking about the people who did the right thing, by the way. You'll still be illegal. You'll never not be illegal, in my view. That's wild. You can't do that. You just can't, because the law is supposed to be the law. You're supposed to be the party of law and order. You can't just be like, nuh-uh, that's not... It's not how the law is supposed to work, you know? And look, I think that one of the reasons we get pitted against each other really, really hard is because America makes a promise, and it makes a promise to everybody that they will have it better tomorrow. And a better tomorrow isn't coming for everybody because of systems in place to keep tomorrow like today. So when I see Donald Trump at a rally and he says they're coming from Africa, they're coming from the Middle East, some of them are coming from Asia. These people are coming to our country, they're poisoning the blood of our country, and we have to get them out. I don't just think about people of color. I do think for a second about white people from the past, right? Because white wasn't always this like singular identity. There was a time in America where if you were Irish, you were spit on. Where if you were Italian, you were beat. And everything that Trump says about them is what they said about all those people in the background, right? About their great-grandparents. So they may cheer it on, but recognize if you have Italian descent, if you have Irish descent, if you're Greek, there was a time where you were not welcome here. And they said that your very presence and the presence of your children would destroy the country, would poison the blood. And then we became the most powerful country in the world. So clearly it's a lie. It's so clearly a lie. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying this as if I'm like, oh, you know, don't even have a program, open borders, just let everybody come in, spill it. The thing that they are painting, sometimes it's not even what's happening in the area. And look, I'm gonna tell you right now that I think that there should be a fair and legal and simple process for becoming a citizen. Do you know what I mean? And I think that having a process is not un-American. Having a process is not cruel, right? But there has to be a process. But then when that process is adhered to, you can't just be like, no, that's unmanageable. You know, that's wild to me. You know, I have friends who, one of my good friends is Italian, first generation Italian, and he's a bit older, and he tells me stories of what it was like for his family, right? And so much of it was based around fear. These Italians are coming over here, and they're gonna ruin everything with their good food. You know? And they were called criminals. There was an assumption that everybody, no matter who you were, in the Italian community was in the mob, and you were dangerous, and people should stay away from you, you know? It's everything. It's every single thing that's happening now. I'm not saying that there's no possibility of having an immigration problem. I'm not saying that it's not something that needs to be addressed. I'm saying the rhetoric that you use when you talk about people is important. No matter what you do when you build policy, you know? Because I would like the people who are hardworking, the people who are honest, the people who genuinely love America to be in America, you know? Because the same things that they do to immigrants now is what they did back in the day, you know? Maybe you were Irish, and maybe an Irish person in your community committed a crime, and now it's a crime on all of you. Not just one of you did it, y'all all did it. Every single one of you, and we're gonna make you feel like you did it. We're gonna put up signs. Right? And if you're Irish, you know what those signs said. You know what I mean? So where did that get us? And where are we now? You know? Because we didn't send those Irish people back. We didn't send those Italian people back. You know, we found a way to make things work, and you build on a process and you improve it. I'm not saying there's not a process that doesn't need to be improved. I really am not. I'm saying that the way that you talk about people is important. Outside of anything else, whether they share some land with you or not. You know, and the same things that are happening now are what happened back then, you know? I'm scared of having a political process that's it's untenable.